Tree Country 1330 WTRE. Good Thursday morning. Good morning, Mayor Marsh.
Hey, good morning, Emily, and happy Thursday to everyone out there in WTRE country.
It's a little rainy this morning.
It's going to be a wild weather day,
It is.
so get ready.
Because tonight looks icky.
Yeah, we might be weather aware. That's the main thing today. But yeah, tonight we might be far enough south that we'll avoid most of the super damage. But
We're going to hope. Let's hope for that.
Of course, we always hope for that. But north of Indy, it seems like that's going to be in the crosshairs, and some storms for the overnights and rain through tomorrow. 80-something today.
Yeah.
50 tomorrow. It's been a pretty wild March, really.
It has. Well, maybe April will just level out.
Yeah, it's. I
It's
think
spring.
everybody's ready for that, but it seems to be. I mean, everybody always says it seems like we have more snow this year than we've had, or more rain, and I don't know, averages are averages, but it does seem like the temperature swings this year have been much more aggressive than normal.
Yes. And I think from day to day, too. It's like we're going big 80s to 40s. It's great.
Yeah,
So.
everybody has sinus issues.
That's
it's great.
right. It's wonderful.
Everybody's just moving on.
And the pollen's coming soon, too. So we'll,
Just add that in.
throw it on top.
Hail, wind, and pollen.
Hey,
It's
we
a
got it.
It's a weather alert day.
Welcome to Decatur County.
That's right.
What's been going on this week?
Well, it's been a relatively quiet week, which we do like. Those tend to be good. It allows us to get some internal business done. The most impactful, sort of big news, if you will, over the last week has been the closure of Montfort Street at the railroad south of Main Street. The gas company, CenterPoint Energy, is having Miller Pipeline replace their gas main that runs under the rail that is directly under the street. So that was, we would have talked about that last week, but I learned about that on Monday. And so I think they had been working on that for a little bit. I just wasn't aware of that, but that's okay. So that's where we are now. And the unfortunate part of that project is that their timeline is 2 weeks. So just be attentive and be cognizant of that. Obviously not a terrible issue. You can always just go over to Broadway and down and around. But we will definitely probably see a little bit more truck traffic from the livestock and the river metals recycling and soy processors and those that come up on Montfort Street. There's more semi-traffic on Montfort Street than most people realize. And so just be a little bit attentive and aware of that, and they'll get in and out of there, and we'll be good to go.
2 weeks, probably with a little weather buffer, right?
I'm hoping they're just done in 2 weeks.
Okay.
But it's all on pavement, which helps them, as long as the hole's not full of water and whatever they need to do. Obviously, they drill under. They have to dig like the bore pits on each side because then they drill under the rail, right? So they're not tearing up the rail bed. They're going under the rail bed. And that sort of takes a little bit of time is to get the pits dug in the right places, get the boring machines set, do that process, take those out, hook up the lines, backfill the pits, add the pavement, restripe it, get out of the way. Done.
2 weeks.
It's that
Got
easy.
It. That easy. It sounds like it.
Yeah, so just extra attention. Maybe, if you, like this morning when I come over here, sometimes I'll come turn on Main Street and then turn down Montfort. And I was like, don't do that this morning because I was thinking about things to chat about with you. And that was one of the things, like just have to be a little bit more attentive maybe to which stoplight you turn at.
That's right.
But other than that, no big deal.
Just go around.
Yeah, we've got all the schools. Of course, that starts up next week again. It's been odd not to have the school traffic very randomly.
It's amazing how much traffic there is school related. That until we don't have it, you notice it.
So I live over kind of on Lincoln Street, and it is amazing. The first day after school lets out for the summer, there's no traffic, and it's like, oh, that's so. Where is everyone? But yes, it does generate a lot of traffic, and so school buses are made aware of the closures. Obviously, 911 dispatch, they put that in their CAD system, so it shows up on all of the monitors and all of the vehicles, and everybody's well aware. It actually automatically reroutes the navigation that like ambulances and fire trucks use based on road closures, so that stuff's important for them to know. So we've got that all taken care of with them, and they're ready to go.
All right. We'll be anxiously awaiting for it to be completed.
That is right. So that's the big, most public-facing item of the week, I guess you could say, which is pretty minimal, and we'll take it.
That's right. Solid Waste had a big announcement.
They did. So as you may remember, kind of right at the end of the year, beginning of the year, we were working through a partnership with them on the Old Street Department to get them a space that they could open a recycling center. Since then, it has been announced that it will be the Norma Bainbridge Recycling Center, that the Decatur County Solid Waste District will operate on a more normal business hour type operation. On Saturday, a couple weeks ago, we had the e-shred and the shred day, where that was very well attended. So like those kinds of activities will take place in the center now and not at standalone events. So if you want to go today, if you have a TV that you need to get rid of today, you can take it versus having to hold it until a certain event comes along. And the Solid Waste Board on Tuesday night voted to approve the build operate transfer agreement, which is just the procurement method with GM Development. They're going to oversee that, and then SD Barnes, obviously a local contractor, is going to do the work. The goal is to have that open before Toxaway Days in September, and then the goal would be for Toxaway Days to just become more like tire amnesty days, I think is what they call that. But we'll be sure that all those plans get finalized and done before we get to September. Because at the Toxaway Days, all the stuff that is not tire related would now be accepted at the center on an ongoing daily basis. So we don't need that event. It'll be available daily. But the center is not going to accept tires. They just require too much manual labor. They pose too much risk. And just doing like a tire day alone, it's a separate contractor anyway. So like Toxaway Day has, I think there's a total of 3 contractors that are part of Toxaway Days. There's the shred, there's the electronics and toxic waste, hazard waste, and then there's a tire contractor. So there's already a lot of partners. So we're just chopping off 2 of them and doing the center component. But yeah, so should be by the end of the year, if not mid-fall. Be up and running. They're just going to do some minor renovation work. They're going to put in another garage door in the back. They're going to build a drop-off facility kind of thing, sort of like at Goodwill, where they have like that little portico area you drive under and drop off. So stuff like that's going to be happening over there.
It's exciting. This is something they've worked for a long time. So this is exciting that it's finally come to fruition.
It's been a very long time. The amount of years I'm not sure of, but it's been on the books way longer than I've been on the board, and Kenny Hooten's on that board as well, and he's been on it a very long time. I think maybe since he's been on council, and he said it was something that was being dreamed up back then. So more than 15 years at least.
Very exciting. And you no longer have to collect all of your items for those big days. When it's open daily, you can just drop off and not be hoarding it for those special moments.
Yeah, because we even had some folks that came through the e-shred day a couple weeks ago when I was out there helping with the line. They were talking about like, oh, I've missed the last 2 of these. I have all this stuff. I've just been holding on to it. It's been in my garage. I'm so glad that I could remember to be here today and my schedule allowed it. So like, great. I'm glad that they were that committed to keeping it out of the landfill. But also at the same point in time, we also understand people get a little grumpy and anxious, and then they just put it in the bottom of their trash can or put it in a bag, and that's what we're trying to prevent. So by having a facility that's open much more frequently will allow for that. So while hours have not been established yet, it will definitely make availability a whole lot better.
Very good. We're excited to see that happen.
Yes, for sure.
There's been some talk about State Road 3, and you are making some progress with the future 3?
Yeah, that's been quite a long project, probably 18 months now. We've been in partnership with the Rushville. So Rushville got a grant from the federal government for nearly $1 million to do a safety analysis of State Road 3. So it runs all the way from our intersection of 421 all the way up to I-70. And when that grant and this partnership was announced, there was a lot of discussion and forewarning that this was a safety plan. It is not tied to infrastructure improvements or investments. The feds awarded the funding for planning. It's a planning grant, not an infrastructure grant. So the conversations were had, and all of our partners in Rush County and Decatur County, and then a few in Henry County, but really Rush and Decatur worked very well on it. So Commissioner Pazel and I and Chief Sturmer are on that steering committee, and then we have brought in some other folks as needed, so street and police, etc. And then like in Shelby County or Rush County, excuse me, like their schools were involved because of, and North Decatur was involved with its location on Highway 3, etc. So it's been a really good long project. The document in its draft form is 140 pages. I think it's crazy big. But obviously we have to submit that. Rushville is the applicant. So Rushville has to submit it to the feds to say, look, we actually did use your money to complete a project, and show what improvements can be made. There were individual areas of focus and concern based on data and community input and feedback through the surveys, the community outreach. They were at the football game between Rushville and Greensburg at Greensburg. So that company was here doing, taking feedback, getting support, which was just sort of great synergy to have the Greensburg school and the Rush County school playing each other. So that worked well. They were at some fall festivals. They were, we had an open house at City Hall for them one time. So they did a really good job of trying to get out and about and getting some input. But then they identified 10 areas across each community, and based on the budget that was made available, which is great because it actually did come in under budget as well, they were able to look outside of the State Road 3 corridor a little bit. So we have some streets that don't intersect with 3 that are on our list in Greensburg, and then the county has some on theirs that don't intersect with 3 of just areas to make improvements. Anything from maybe just lighting or pavement markings, etc. So that is in its sort of final stages over the next few months. That will go through the approval process, be submitted to the feds, and then also the use of the document is locally when we're trying to make improvements to safety. It's part of the federal Vision Zero, which is zero vehicular fatalities in 2050. And as we work to make safety improvements, we can refer to the plan or the toolkit or the other resources made available through it.
There's always been a lot of concern with that corridor. That's nothing new. Was there anything, as you've been a part of this study, that you have found surprising that has come out of it at this point?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of discussion about, we all know that we're very car heavy, right? But we also know in between Greensburg and Rushville, there's a lot of Amish and buggy traffic, bicycle and actually foot traffic as well, maybe more than most of us realize. So the vast majority are in cars, but then there was a high emphasis in both of our communities that actively participated in the study for pedestrian safety. We also know that we just had a recent fatality at Freeland Road between a vehicle and a pedestrian. We need to look at how do we work on better pedestrian flow and involvement, especially in our urban centers along the route. Rushville, Highway 3 runs right through the middle of downtown, right? They have downtown businesses that face onto 3 just like we do on 46, so the foot traffic's there. There's been some ideas thrown out about, pedestrian overpasses by public members, especially in light of the recent tragedy. I think that's a great idea. We looked at that a while back, and it's millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, because it's not just a staircase with a bridge, because that's not ADA compliant. You can't build things that are not ADA compliant. So you have to either put in elevators on each side, or build ramps that meet ADA grades. There's a lot of hurdles to that, in addition to this just building the structure. So that's a very, 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 very expensive endeavor. Not saying it's not worth it, or that maybe we can't look at that again, but it also takes in an inordinate amount of room to build those ramps, and elevator maintenance, and elevators are incredibly expensive as well. So I don't know that we're quite to that level of pedestrian traffic yet. We just need to be more attentive to the pedestrian crossing, the one between Lincoln Street, Veterans Way, and Highway 3. When it was first put in, there was a close encounter. So we, just remind people to be attentive, and pedestrians, while there are rules and laws about who's at fault, generally pedestrians lose in vehicular incidents. So just, you don't want to be a part of that. We don't want you to be a part of it. We don't want you to be the pedestrian. We don't want you to be the driver. Just need to be a little bit more attentive. Would probably solve a lot of that. So I do think the public support for pedestrian transportation infrastructure out of that study is good. It's good to see. It's positive, and it probably needs to happen. And then also just some of the maybe like low-hanging fruit, because Decatur County, we're in the Seymour NDOT district, and Rush County and Henry County are in the Greenfield district, and they have different directors. I mean, obviously they're both under NDOT, but they do different things. And so if you ever notice when you're driving, it's easiest to notice when you're driving south on 3, you will notice that on like all of the signs alongside Highway 3 in Rush County have like a reflective strip that runs down the post. So if it's a yellow curve ahead sign, it will have a yellow strip that runs down to the ground. So it generates a more reflective sign versus just the diamond, or the stop signs have red strips on them, something like that. In Decatur County, we do not have those because the Seymour district has not implemented those. So as soon as you hit the county line, those will stop. Like that's one of the items in the plan that could be improved to generate more visible safety, especially for stop signs that are coming from streets that go on to 3. And you're just driving down a county road, it's dark, and all of a sudden there's a stop sign. Well, if you blow the stop sign, maybe at a county road, maybe not that big of a deal, although not good. At the highway, a much more impactful, more likely to be impactful deal, just higher volumes of traffic. So maybe that reflective strip, or like the little whirly gigs that go on top, those kinds of things. Like those are cheap, safety-driven features that could maybe be implemented. So long answer, but those two things are sort of very different financial impacts. And again, we're not really talking about road construction here.
Right. It's improvements that can happen.
They did put some suggestions in there for certain major intersections along 3, as, hey, this would help slow traffic, redirect traffic, etc. But just because they're on the paper, there's no funding, there's no plan, there's no long-term plan for those. They're just ideas from a safety action plan.
So at this point, the action plan will be submitted to the federal government, right?
Yeah, it's got to go through the adoption process locally. So Decatur County government, Greensburg, Rushville, Rush County are all going to approve it, and then it will be sent to the feds for sort of like final checkoff that the grant was utilized.
Good deal. All right. Main Street's getting ready to fire back up. Spring's coming.
Yeah. Which is great, right?
Yes.
The farmers market's coming end of May, so that'll be here before we know it. They have had a great interest in vendors this year. I think they're adding some more unique vendors. They've got some options. They've been a little more selective, I think is what Allie was saying, about making sure that we're staying true to the farmers market kind of motif and not a vendor fair. So, plan to come out. It's going to be Friday afternoons. I think 2 to 5, 2 to 6 is their time window. I know a lot of people always ask, what about Saturdays? There are way too many much more successful, larger, higher volume, higher dollar markets that happen on Saturday, and we would have no vendors. So Friday is our day. Gives us an opportunity to be unique, gives us an opportunity, if you want to participate in ours and another one, you can. But really, that's the root of the answer is we're not going to be on Saturday. We will never be on Saturday because we cannot compete with the other much, much larger and just higher attended farmers markets on Saturday. You could say if you had it on Saturday, the attendance would go up. You probably would be right. But it won't, because there won't be vendors.
Oh, right.
So it is a chicken egg catch-22. Just do what works, and it'll be a great summer.
And most of those vendors, they work the farmers market
Trail.
Arena, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of know what they're going to do and where they're going to be on what days way ahead of time.
And yes, and they also have product that they have in stock for Saturday's markets at ours, right? Versus maybe like on Tuesday or something. So my brother and sister-in-law live in Bartersville, and their market, I think, is on Wednesday nights. Maybe they have a Wednesday and a Saturday. They have a lot of different options. They go over there all the time and don't buy much produce, right? But they like going to the event. They have music. They have different vendors. And so it is a great opportunity, and I highly encourage everybody to get out and support the farmers market this year. Main Street does great work in downtown. They're getting ready for their whole year of events. They were already talking about the holiday walk the other day, which is not, I was like, don't bring that up.
Too early for that one.
Too early for that one. But yeah, there's definitely stuff happening this summer. They've announced the save the dates for the Let's Go Girls event. If you didn't participate in that last year, I've come to learn that you missed out on one heck of an event. So they're bringing it back better than ever, and should be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah. They also have their annual meeting next week.
Yeah, that's
right?
Tuesday night. I'm sure that if you'd like to come, you're more than welcome. I don't. They're not really a public entity, so they're technically not public meetings, I guess. But if you want to come and hear what Main Street's been up to, it'll be at City Halls at 6 o'clock. Love to have you. And the board's excited about what's coming this year, and should be a lot of fun.
I think we're all in the spring mode now. Like we've all left winter time behind, and it's time to go to spring and the green grass and get outside a little bit. So
yeah, and again, kind of on the Main Street piece a little bit. Now, again, this is kind of odd because it's the Batesville Main Street who's putting it together. But on April 9th, the mayor of Batesville and I are going to co-host trivia in Batesville at the Sherman House. The Sherman has been bought and is being rebranded, or some version of that.
Yeah.
So they're reopening that, but that's at 6 o'clock over at the Sherman on Thursday, April 9th. And so I'll probably give that a couple more plugs. We'd love to have some Greensburg teams over there. I'd love to have a Greensburg team win the Batesville Trivia tournament. I think the topic is going to be famous rivalries.
Really?
Yeah. So
Well, that's fun.
I've never hosted trivia before, and I've only ever done it twice, so I'm probably not an expert at this. But
you better be practicing. You gotta make a good impression.
How does one practice that? Jeopardy?
Jeopardy. That's right.
I'll have to watch during Kids Week, not Tournament of Champions Week. But yeah, so maybe put that on your calendars if you're interested. Get a team, and I'm sure there'll be some good prizes and a lot of poking and prodding, I'm sure.
I'm sure there will be. What day is that again?
April 9th, Thursday. So got a little bit, but if you're looking for something to do, there you go.
It's coming right up.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other news from around the city this week?
I don't think so. It's been, again, we've been kind of busy. We did get, I guess one thing, we did get the Citizen Problem Reporter back up and online. There was a bit of an update that happened that didn't work with the version we had, so it had to kind of get rebuilt. But the new version is up and live. You can find that information on our website. And the update is much, much better. It's a lot more kind of intuitive. It's easier to use. And it allows you to report based on a map of something, if it's abandoned cars, dilapidated properties, junk trash, road issues, sewer issues. If it's an emergency, please call 911. If your sewer is not working, I would highly encourage you to call the sewer plant or the water plant directly, whichever one you are having an issue with. This is for those things that are like, oh, that's a problem, or this is this. And then our team tries to do a pretty good job of keeping those updated and reviewed, because once you hit submit, it actually goes to the department directly, which is a great way to kind of cut out some of the middle work. But you can add photos. You can put your stuff in there. You do have to put your name and contact information, but that part is not shown to the public, and allows us to follow up with you if we have additional questions or to give you status updates as to where it is. And then we also don't share who reports what to the property or person that's being affected. Obviously, we keep that stuff confidential, but we do ask for your contact information so that we can follow up with you if we need to, and or let you know why something can or cannot happen. That's the worst part about when I get a letter or an anonymous letter or something at work, or somebody sends an email that doesn't have a return, because you can block that kind of stuff, is we can't tell you why we can't do something that you've asked us to do. And so that is important to me that we provide that feedback as, hey, look, I understand this is a concern, but unfortunately A, B, or C, or, that's under the jurisdiction of the state of Indiana, not under us. We can share that with them, but that becomes a little bit more challenging when you don't provide contact information.
I think it's important, though, to utilize that to report issues or questions that you have, because you're always willing to give that answer. It's just you don't know about an issue if someone does not report it.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of times, people, yes, because we want folks to reach out, and it's not because we aren't doing something, we'll just say, with your neighbor's property because we are ignoring it. We just may not know about it. A lot of people think we have an entire crew of people that just drives around and looks at things, and that's not accurate. Generally, most items are found on the way to another complaint, or an issue is brought to us. Then that kind of snowballs into, okay, well, that issue was identified while we were there. We noticed these 3 issues in the neighborhood too. So it sometimes may seem like it comes and goes in waves, but it has really been a way that allows us to work through code enforcement and make an effort that has a good opportunity to focus on areas that need it. But again, we need to be notified about it mostly.
All right, let's hit some legislation. I know that we've talked about this a lot. We had some educators in this week and talked a little more about legislation. Where do we stand? Do we have any ideas?
We are working through that process. We've asked the financial firm that we work with to get some ideas and thoughts together based on our capital improvement plans. We've asked our department heads to put together capital improvement plans as they would have normally and as they would have now for now through 2035 mostly. And that project and process is well underway. We're working through better understanding what the legislation looks like. We have some requirements under the law from 2026 session to have a couple meetings this summer with the county. So we're going to work through having data ready for that. And after that, we're kind of on hold. We're back into the holding pattern. I do think there's probably an entire series on how do we explain, I understand the property tax system is complicated. When you add in the income tax system, it's complicated. When you add in the formulas, it's unbelievably complicated. And then when you get your tax bill, it's not easy and it's complicated. So it's probably something that generally the state of Indiana could do better at. And then, we're not even talking about federal, we'll just ignore the feds part right now, right? Probably do a better job of simplifying and laying that out. But that's not where we are right now. And I do think there's a lot of opportunity and value that's driven through tax bills, tax seasons, property tax seasons. When you look at that bill when it comes, later this spring, there's a lot of lines on there. There's 6 overlapping districts that split that revenue up from schools and townships and libraries and cities and counties and townships. It goes a lot of places. So sometimes I think there's this misconception that 100% of your tax dollars go to the city of Greensburg or to the county or to the school, but it's taking that amount and dividing it up amongst all those organizations that provide a lot of services and values that we all rely on every day. So we're working with the General Assembly, I think, again next year to see what that looks like, because as we've mentioned on this program multiple times, the up to $300 property tax relief really left out the part about how business income or business personal property tax was being removed. I have an article in my inbox that I need to read that talks about what percentage of businesses will actually move towards paying no business personal property tax now. And it's a pretty staggering number. So that's direct revenue loss that is going to have to be made up by the residents who live in these communities. And the state of Indiana said, just go and raise income tax. So just so everyone keeps hearing that, when we talk about income tax increases or changes or fee changes or increases, it's directly related to that up to $300 property tax bill that was sold that sort of pulled a little bit of the, we have to know what's in it. We'll know what's in it after we pass it. And that's very frustrating. But that's where we are now, so we have to work through it. But that's
Work
where
through
we're.
it, see what happens, right?
Yeah, so it's not much has changed after the end of the session, which is great. We're giving them all a little bit of a breather. We're getting our facts together. We intend to work with Representative Meltzer on some ideas as it relates to fire protection coverage provided outside the city of Greensburg. Obviously, GFD is our most expensive agency we have, and we're running all over the place. And so we'd like to talk to her about some options that maybe the state could help us with when it comes to that, as far as legislative changes. So we'll see where it all ends up.
See what happens. As we move into springtime, Freeland Road's still on the docket for the year.
We're still on the docket. No timeline yet, but we'll see about getting one.
All right. Any other road paving pieces, milling?
I-74 has moved into construction mode.
Full on barrel zone.
It's a lot of barrel zones. I haven't been to Indy in a week and a half or two now. So, but when you look at it from Highway 3, it looks like a lot of barrels up through there. So just be attentive. We are one of their camera enforcement zones, by the way. So they call them safety zones, meaning that they enforce the speed limit via camera, and you will just get a ticket in the mail.
Just a nice little surprise.
So be mindful of that construction speed limit zone, and if you don't think it is real, go Google that news articles from all over the I-465 region when they rolled it out. And I will tell you, as someone who drives I-465 maybe like once a month, the people actually do follow it now. It is a 45-mile-an-hour zone on 465, and you would never think that would have existed. So we are one of those 4 zones in the state of Indiana this year. So
pay attention.
When you hop on the interstate, just set the cruise control to whatever the speed limit is.
And go for it,
That's right.
All right. It's 8 o'clock here on this Thursday morning. Anything else, Mayor Marsh?
I think that'll do it. We'll talk to everyone next week. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. Be weather aware, and chat next week.